Yeah, well, obviously they're different from when Coach Huggins was there. He's in his first year, getting his guys in there. They're probably, it seems like, just in the two games, they're more offensively oriented than the Coach Huggins teams. They still play good defense, but they're not as physical and rugged as those teams were, at least in the two games they've played. They've been really good in the two games they've played, but that just seems like that's the difference.
Coach, you talked about how you guys first encountered the zone the first time in your last game. How have your guys responded to it and the notes that you guys saw in film and practice?
They've been good. They've been good. We knew that we didn't play with the necessary pace early. We allowed it to slow us down. We allowed it to frustrate us that we missed some shots. We've worked on it the past couple of days, and I anticipate if we see it, we'll be good against it.
I know this is the transfer age, but have you ever seen the West Virginia turnover like they have now? They have two guys from last year's team. One's playing football, and one might be redshirted.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, but during my time here, we've played them. I think the only year we didn't play was the COVID year. They had one coach. Anytime you have a new coach and there's transition like that, in some ways it's easier for a new coach when you come in because you do have the portal, so you are able to go out and get guys, and guys made decisions there that they wanted to move on as well. So it's just the nature of the beast now.
What do you like about DeVries, Tucker DeVries, the player?
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like everything about him. I was a fan of his from afar last year, watching him, playing for his father at Drake, his ability to score. But I think the thing to me that stands out is he has a great feel for the game. He really knows how to play. Certainly he knows the system, and it's why he's off to such a great start. He's a really good player, really smart player. Seems like he's very competitive. Has a great competitive spirit about him, and it seems like in watching him in the two games we've watched that he has a joy for playing basketball.
Do your guys look at this as a rivalry game, do you think, or is it just, you're preaching to them another game on the schedule?
No, I mean, it's a rivalry game. I mean, they know that. They understand, the rivalry between Pitt and West Virginia, although we have some guys that this will be their first experience in it. They understand it. I think it helps that our football teams played each other. And so, they got a chance to feel it there. Obviously, the guys that were on our team last year understand it. So they understand it's a rivalry. It's a big game. We're excited about it. We feel honored to be a part of it.
Did you see how Jalen and some of your guys participated as kind of cheerleaders in the basketball tournament, and just them mixing with the Pitt alums who were there and the enthusiasm that they saw, especially when the alums from the two schools played?
Yeah, I saw it. We were there the past couple of years. Last year when the game was in West Virginia, I think we played the Marshall group, and then this year with the games here. So it was fun. It was a fun experience. Our guys got into it. Obviously, they feel a kinship and a connection with the former players here, and it was a cool event to be with.
Jalen was talking to me. He was saying, a little bit ago, hey, that means a lot when you have those connections, and he's like, I wanted to play with those guys. What does that do for a program when you have your present connected to your past like that?
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, again, I want these guys to understand they're part of something that's bigger than them, and it's a very proud program. And they've had some really, really good players. Few great players. They've had some really, really good teams, maybe a few great teams here. And so I want them to understand the history and what they're a part of. I want the former players to understand that this is theirs, and it's always theirs. They wore the jersey. They're the ones that sweat and went through all the things that they went through to make this program what it is, what it was, and what we're trying to get it back to. And so I've always wanted that connection with our current players and with the former guys. I want the guys that leave here, whether they turn pro, graduate, even the guys that transfer, I'd love for them to have a great experience. and for them to always feel like they're a part of it, and to always feel like that, this is a home away from home for them.
Was it easy to build that connection early, like when you first got here with those former players?
There was nothing that was easy when we first got here. There was a big disconnect when we first got here with a lot of things. There were some guys that still came around that I got a chance to know, we got a chance to know and to build some relationships with. But over time, getting those guys to want to come back, inviting guys back, reaching out to them, making them feel like that they're still a part of it, that they're still welcome, that they're. But I think that's hard anytime there's transition. I played at a program where we were fortunate that our coach was there from 1980 until 2000, whatever it was, 21, 22, 20, whatever it was, the coach retired. And so it's easier when you have that because there's one common connection. Here there have been coaches, plural, there have been ADs, plural. And so it's just a little bit more difficult when you have that.
Now, they call this a non-conference game, but when you get to the end of the season, these games sometimes mean more than some of your conference games because of the tournament and the bubble and all that stuff. This you guys really matter, don't they?
Well, that's all I heard at the end of last year.
Yeah.
That our non-conference schedule is what did us. And, I know it's going to sound like cliche and coach speak, but it's the truth when you're in it. All of them are important. Like they are. Like they all have such great meaning. And you have to treat it that way. Now, certainly when you're in it, you understand that there are ones that get you juiced up a little bit more. There's a different energy that's around the game. But they're all really, really important. And, we're excited about the opportunity we have tomorrow to play against a really good team, a very proud program, and a team from a really good conference.
How have you assessed how Cam has played this season? What more do you want from him going
I
forward?
think Cam has done well. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest adjustments for him, and we knew this coming in, I think the most Cam has played minutes-wise a game is 18 minutes a game. And so taking him from 18 to, let's say, 28 a game, that's a big jump. But I don't think people really understand the significance of that and the type of conditioning you have to be in, the focus that you have to have, the understanding how you have to play every play. I talked to Cam after, I think it was the Radford game, and we were talking, and I told him, like, against Point Park, I played him. I'm trying to figure out how long can you play, with it, and to be able to play at the level that we need you to play at. And I said, when you get tired, you need to let me know. And he was like, Coach, that's just new for me because when I came out at Florida State, I maybe would sit for like 8 minutes. Well, that's not going to happen here unless you're in foul trouble or unless the group that's in is on a great run, then we're going to keep that going. But I think he's done well. We have to get him where he doesn't commit cheap, tired fouls that normally come when he's tired, so he can be in the game. It's important for us to have him in the game. Continue to rebound at a high level, and to protect our basket a little bit more.
What will playing in what should be a charged environment, big crowd, energized fans, what will that teach you about your team?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how we react to it. This will be our first time in this type of environment. We hope to have these types of environments all the time. Hopefully we can build it where, every time we play here, it's like that. I know when I first took the job, people around town, people affiliated with the pro sports teams would tell me that when they had it going, this was the hardest ticket to get. My hope is that we can get it back like that, so every game is like that. But for it being the first time that it's going to be like that in the building tomorrow, I'm interested to see how we respond to that. I know we'll be juiced. Will we be jittery? Will we have to slow down a little bit? Will we, so it's all these types of things that go into when you play in, great environments. They can bring out a lot of different things. So I'm interested to learn about that tomorrow.
When Jalen isn't on the floor, who do you feel like is becoming you guys' primary facilitator to get the offense in the rhythm that you guys like?
Yeah, I think it depends on, Dame, Brandon, Biba, really those two guys, Ish a little bit. but probably more so those two guys.
Is he allowed to talk about Amari? Could you tell us about Amari, how he got on your radar?
Yeah, well, we're excited about him. I mean, obviously that's an area that we want to try to recruit, and we spend time down there. I think it's one of the DMV area is one of the best hotbeds of basketball in the country, and that conference, I think, is arguably the best basketball conference in the country. And so Coach Brown had seen him, Milan had seen him, and thought it was a guy that we should be on. And as he watched him get better this spring, I should say, he's a guy that got to my radar. I got a chance to see him and really liked him. I liked his size. I liked his ability to do things with the basketball in his hands, but to play without the ball. I loved his competitive spirit. I loved his versatility defensively and the fact that he took pride in defense, and just saw him continue to get better and better. Loved his work ethic, loved who he is as a person, as a young man, as we got to know him more. Loved the fact that he's a late bloomer. Loved the fact that nothing's ever been given to him. He's earned it. So there's a toughness and a competitiveness about him. As we got to know him more, his family, they're incredible. So the main thing is that he fit us, and I think we fit him. When he came up for the official visit, I think he and his family felt it while he was here on the visit, and it was pretty much done after that.
A lot of the language you just used there sounded similar to what you would say about Bub, tough kid, late bloomer. Did that come up in the recruiting process?
Well, if you look at really the guys that we have, I think you could say that's a common trait with all of them. They're super competitive, late bloomers, upside, size and versatility for their position. Those are things that we look at. Like for me, I never pay attention to what a kid's ranked. I stopped doing that a while ago. There was a time when, I was the head coach before where I maybe was caught up in that and caught up in trying to win recruiting rankings and doing that stuff. I don't worry about that at all. I trust my eyes before I trust anyone else's. And Amari fit all the things that we look for in a young man, that we want to wear this jersey. And one of the biggest things, man, is that we want guys that want to be here. And we don't want to have to trick them or do anything to try to convince them. Like, they have to want it as much as we want them. And with every kid that we have in our program now, and especially the past couple of years, I think that's been pretty evident. And I think it's one of the reasons why we've won, is that we have guys that are grateful and appreciative to be here and want to be here and want to be coached by us, and we want them here and we want to coach them.
When you guys are, obviously you guys want to be a shooting team. You talked about how good you guys think you can be this year as a shooting team. Is there a stage in the game where you guys feel like you have to flip a switch if the shots aren't falling, or is there a stage, is there just a trust that, hey, these shots are going to fall? Yeah,
we trust. As long as we're generating good looks, and whatever the looks, whether it could be a 2, it could be a mid-range, it could be something to paint. As long as our offense is generating good looks, then we live with the results. I trust our guys. As long as the ball is moving the right way, we're sharing it, we have our proper spacing, and we're taking strong and good looks, then I feel confident in our ability to knock shots in.
There's been movement over the past few years that a mid-range or a long 2 isn't really a good look based on analytics. You had JB, Dame Dunn seems like he can shoot the mid-range well-ish as well. Had a few the other night, Bub too, yeah. Is that something you guys preach to your guys, like, this is a good shot to us?
Yeah, we do. If you're making shots, if you're putting points on the board, that's good. It's, for me, regardless of how it is. Now, certainly, we made a conscious effort a few years ago to recruit shooting, because my first 4 years here, we were not good at shooting the basket, anything, mid-range, 3 certainly, maybe a little bit around the basket with a couple of guys, but if you look at our field goal percentages, they were not good. So we really tried to make a concerted effort to do that. But again, generating good shots is something that we want to do wherever they come from.
What was it like seeing Amsel get back on the floor on Monday? And what do you hope to see him do as he, I guess, comes back from that injury?
Yeah, it was great to see him back, to get him out there, to get him some game reps, to get up and down the floor. I thought he did some good things. Obviously, there's I don't even know if it's rust because he's never played college basketball, but he hadn't played in over a month. In like a 6-week period, he had not played basketball, period. He had worked out with his left hand. And so that's where the rust came from. And so we anticipate him continuing to get better. He's talented. He's a worker. He's a believer. And so we anticipate him getting better as he gets more game reps.